Hi there, I'm Ben and welcome to the first part of my Dark Souls 2 full platinum walkthrough. That's right, this is a full platinum walkthrough. I'll be walking you through the entire process of getting the platinum trophy for Dark Souls 2. The version we are playing is the Scholar of the First Sin edition, which is different from the original but is the version you will have on current gen consoles. If you've seen any of my previous walkthroughs for Demon Souls, Bloodborne or the original Dark Souls, then you'll know what to expect. If not, I'll just go through what you can expect from this guide briefly. Firstly, I will be here for the duration, unfortunately for you maybe, giving you tips and guiding you along the path, making sure that you don't miss anything. I will also show everything in these videos. The only time I will cut is for cutscenes, conversations and the occasional death. Now these guides are meant for everyone of all skill levels, but I will be explaining everything in detail for the people new to the Souls series, at the start at least. Things like what each of the stats mean and do, and what certain items do. If you already know most of the information, please be patient. I want to get everybody else up to the same level. Now if you've played the original Dark Souls or Bloodborne, then you can pretty much forget a lot of what you know, to be honest. Dark Souls 2 feels quite different to the other Souls games, at the start at least. It's very slow, almost sluggish feeling, especially when it comes to healing. But we will be upgrading a certain stat to try and alleviate that as early as possible. As for the Platinum and the trophies, they are fairly straightforward. Unfortunately, you will be required to play this game 2.5 times for the Platinum, but I will be doing that in these videos and will show you the quickest path through the game for playthrough 2 and 3. During the first playthrough, we will be exploring more and making sure to collect everything of importance. Don't worry though, there won't be any random running around or anything like that. Everything has been practiced and researched, so I will be as direct as possible, but I will show you where a lot of items are early on at least, so you have plenty of supplies. There are missable trophies, but as long as you follow what I'm doing and make sure not to kill any NPCs, then you'll be fine. The only thing you'll need to fully collect are gestures, which you'll learn from NPCs, and all sorceries, miracles, pyromancies and hexes, which are learnt, found and purchased throughout the game and are the reason for the extra playthroughs. We don't need to worry about rings and weapons for trophies, thankfully. Okay, that's enough for the introduction here, let's get this started. This first video is meant to ease you into the game and allow me to explain a lot of the details of the game, giving you a better understanding of what's going on. So we're only doing a couple of the very first areas, not many enemies at all here. So when you first start the game, you'll initially wake up here. You won't have gone through character selection or anything like that. That is coming up shortly, character creation should I say. That's coming up shortly. You will first wake up here. This is things betwixt this area. It's a very short area, there's not much here at all. And then eventually we'll lead into Medulla, where we're going to go in this video, and that is kind of, think of Firelink Shrine or the Nexus or whatever you want. It's the safe area and leads to other areas from there. So at the start of the game, you can see we've got like half health, no health there at all. We've got nothing. We don't actually have a character yet. Don't worry about these little things running around. They aren't going to hurt you, so don't worry about those. We're just going to run down here and get an item from the bottom here. Rusted coin. These increase your luck, basically, your item discovery. We're going to be using these later on. Unfortunately, there is some farming required. It's not too bad. It's definitely not as bad as Dark Souls 3. And I will show you that at the time. But yeah, we'll have those coins ready for that. Yeah, so this first thing we're going to do is going to run up here and go into this house. There's going to be some ladies in here. And then we're going to do the character creation, and I'll go through sort of what the classes are and what you want to choose. Ultimately, the character is down to you. You can switch stats halfway through this game, so if you're not happy with what you're going to do, what you've got, you can use something called a Lord Vessel, and then switch your character. All your stats will reset, and you can put them back where you want them, which is really, really good actually. There we've chosen Adam. There is a reason for that. He'll know. Right, here we go. We're going to go, once you speak to these ladies again, after you've chosen your name, you'll get given a human effigy and you'll go into the character creation. So I'm only going to go through class and gift here. We don't need to do all the other nonsense. So warrior, at the start here, is not one we will choose. I will be choosing knight, but warrior, if you see the stats at the bottom there, those numbers 13, 12 and everything like that, I'll explain more about what all of these numbers mean shortly on. shortly later on, should I say, when we're going to level up for the first time. We're going to go through each of the classes here briefly. So you've got Knight, which is what we're going to choose. Swordsman, which is more for dexterity build and things like that. You can see all the items you're going to get as well, depending on which one you choose. Barbarian, which has a bow and things like that. Cleric, which is going to be next, is for miracles, which I don't personally... They're not as good in Dark Souls 2. In the first one I used pyromancies a lot, so I was a sorcerer. They're not as good, miracles, sorcery, things like that. So at the start I'm going to be a knight. I'm going to put a bit into faith and things like that to get our sort of elemental damage up. And then eventually I'm going to get a weapon about halfway through the game, and then I'm going to scrap all of the stats, start again, use a Lord Vessel basically, and then not a Lord Vessel, is it? It's a Soul Vessel. Lord Vessel's from the first game. A Soul Vessel, and then I'm going to go into a Strength build and just build around that. You will be like level 200 by the time you have the Platinum. There is a lot of levels you can go through. A lot of them kind of wasted towards the end. There's probably too many leveling up opportunities, lots of souls in the game. So for your starting item, you want probably Life Ring. That's what I'm going to choose. It's not needed for a trophy or anything, so it doesn't matter. The rest of it is all consumable, sort of one-off thing. The only thing is Life Ring that stays with you, and it increases your life, your health for the start of the game, so it can be more helpful than something like Human Effigy, Homeward Bone. We'll be collecting those. Seed of the Giants was an online thing. Bonfire Aesthetic, which I will explain about Bonfire Aesthetic later on. Petrified something here at the bottom. This is it's kind of a roll the dice item. There's a few of these sort of items as well. There's smooth and silky, smooth and something stones. I forget the specific name. We will be getting one shortly. You can trade them, and it's a random roll of the dice, and you'll get an item or a weapon or something like that. There can be some really good stuff, but I'm not going to rely on them in this game, this guide, obviously, because it is random. And once you've done that, you're going to get your first trophy, which is Self-Recollection. And because I'm on the PS5, they're going to pop in the top right-hand corner. So I'm going to have to move that little blue bar out of the way. So that blue bar, if you're wondering, if you haven't seen one of my guides before, is the next item I'm going to pick up, or the next trophy I'm going to get. Just so you know where you're kind of up to, it allows me to use bookmarks, timestamps as well, which you can look in the description, and you can see where all the items, weapons, trophies are as we go. So here's one, Smooth and Silky Stone, that's it. So yeah, I'll show you where to trade these shortly. We will be coming up to that. And you can see we are in human form at this point. I'm going to die shortly, as you can see. The next trophy we get is called This is Dark Souls. You get that for dying for the first time. This enemy is up here, is optional. He is a big ogre hippo thing. He's difficult, especially if you're new. And I've come off the back of literally just getting the Platinum, and I've started again to do this guide, and it feels so slow and different. So my timings are way off. I didn't want to die. If you kill this guy, you get a ring, which will get replaced quite soon on, but it reduces enemies' poise. Poise is kind of... if you run out of poise, then you get knocked back and stunned. So the higher your poise, should I say, the less chance you have of getting stunned. There we go, I've got killed. So the timings are way off for my rolls, dodge rolling. So don't worry, but it gives me an opportunity to get that trophy and explain what we're doing here. So you can see now that I have gone hollow, which is fine, kind of. But I'm just going to mask up. So you've got this, the original mask. That's what we were wearing at the beginning, so you might as well wear that and put the life ring on as well. We will upgrade armor later on. That's all later on. Don't worry about it too much. If you can see there, my life. So you can see right at the edge of my life, the red bar in the top right, top left corner. Sorry. There's a kind of a missing bit, and that's because I've died. And then the other missing bit is because I've just put the life ring on and I haven't filled that bar up. But where the sort of bar ends now is because I've died. Every time you die, that bar creeps down until it gets to about halfway. So every time you die, your life goes down and down and down and down. If you use a human effigy, which we will be collecting and using sparingly to start with, that will refill your health bar all the way up to the top again and make you human, which you need to summon helpers later on. So I'm not going to actually defeat this guy. We don't need to. Just run past him, get that item, and move on. So yeah, try not to die early. I know that's hard. Try not to die in Dark Souls. That doesn't help, does it? But yeah, the more you die, the more your health goes down. And you'll need to retop it up by using a human effigy. And they are a consumable that you will run out of eventually. So just bear with it. We will be using a lot of backup saves for bosses, things like that. Any difficult sections, I'm going to advise you do a backup save. See, I'm going up here to get a human effigy right now. Backup saves. So make sure you've got PlayStation Plus or whatever you're on, or have a flash drive, whatever, that you're able to back up saves, because it will save a lot of headaches later on, especially when we do the sort of speed running through playthrough 2 and 3, and just means you don't have to do the run back. If we get to a boss, we'll save, we'll do a backup save, and then if you die, you can just re-download that, and then you won't have to worry about dying all the time and losing your health bar. So that was the first bonfire there I sat at. We're not going to use that bonfire, really. We're moving straight on. This first area we're going to go to now is still things betwixt. This is kind of a tutorial area. There's lots of markers, stones that tell you kind of what to do. So I'm going to show you the difference between one-handing and two-handing. If you're on the PlayStation, you press triangle. It will two-hand your weapon. You can see I've just put it into both my hands. It does slightly more damage, but does take up more stamina. It's a trade-off. Two-handing can really help if you know you're not going to get hit yourself, but I do kind of stick to one-handed, and I will be getting us a shield shortly, and have a shield in the other hand, because that is Dark Souls. Here we go. If you get behind an enemy, you can do a normal R1 attack, and you will do a sort of a visceral, a backstab, whatever you want to call it. It takes its inspiration more from Demon Souls with its backstabs. There's a bit of flair to them rather than just stabbing them in the back, which is different, and that was wrong. That was a parry. I wasn't meant to do that. I don't do much parrying in this game. I kind of don't care for it. There's not much in. You might as well just chop them down and dodge back. Parrying's not a massive thing in this game, although you can do it. And there is a shield that is quite good for it, the one we're getting. So I'm just going through these normal basic enemies here. Just get us a few little items. Get yourself used to how the... arrow to the head there. That was a bit unfortunate. Getting us to the crow as well, where we can do the trading. Another life gem. So life gems are a consumable healing item. You sort of crush them, and you will slowly gain health after that. But the main healing item for the game, of course, is the Estus Flask, which we don't have yet. We will be getting shortly. So there are two ways of healing, which is good. Estus Flask, you really don't have many at the start, like one, literally, which can be a bit intimidating, but don't worry. So in this nest here, if you go to the smooth and silky stone and then use leave, don't do discard, because that will lose it forever. Do leave, you'll trade for it. So that petrified something you could have chosen. You can also use that if you did choose that, but we'll get more of those later on. We will come back here occasionally. I mean, it is random. I got a cracked Red Eye Orb. That's completely useless. That's a PvP thing. We're not doing that at all. So it is random. Hopefully you got something good. There's some decent weapons you can get as well sometimes. Upgrade materials and what have you. But, unfortunately, I got nothing good. So I'm not going to rely on those for these guides because it is random. So I'm just going to quickly go in here, get a couple of other things. There is a little tutorial for how to jump here as well. So for jumping, you hold circle or your dodge button, whatever you've got to it. So you'd run and then you click in L3. That's the standard setup for this game. You can play around with it in the options and change it if it doesn't feel natural. And run and jump. Jumping is a bit better in this game than it was in the first one. To quickly run up ladders or slide down ladders, hold circle. That definitely comes in helpful later on, especially when we're running through areas in playthrough 2 and 3. So that was a drop-down attack. So as you drop down, if there's an enemy below you, you do take fall damage as well, by the way, so don't drop down everywhere. But if you drop down and there's an enemy below, if you hold R1, you'll do a plunge attack kind of thing and do damage. It can be quite good. Cracked Red Eye Orb, again, completely useless, but we are just coming through here. Killing a few enemies, get some souls, get a feel for things while things are easy. And yeah, if you killed that hippo, you would have had a few souls. I call it a hippo, it's not a hippo, but it just reminds me of one. Rhino, hippo, whatever they are. You will have got a few souls from it and a ring, but don't worry about it. I didn't, so it's fine. I'm not going to pressure you into doing it by doing it myself. This here, these are, think of these as keys. That's a petrified being. Think of those as locked doors, should I say. We need something called a fragrant branch of yore to sort of melt them again, and then we can get through. They are items we will be getting later on. Think of those as sort of keys that fit many locks. There are a certain amount of them in the game, and there are a certain amount of locks, let's say. So we don't want to be using them all the time. We're only going to be using them on specific petrified beings to get to certain areas or items. So yeah, don't worry about that frozen guy yet. So this, we are actually in Majula now. Majula now. I'm just going to go off to this side area quickly, get 3 life gems, 3 Homeward Bones. Life gems are healing. Homeward Bones, think of them as an escape. So if you use a Homeward Bone, you go back to the last bonfire you sat at, and with all of your souls, so they can come in helpful. But we will get an infinite Homeward Bone called the Age Feather later on. Speak to this guy here. There is a trophy tied to him, so we need to acquire his gear. What we need to do is summon him to 3 boss fights. We can summon him to 4, maybe 5, I think, but we need to summon him to 3 and then talk to him again, and he will give us his sword and we'll get a trophy. So don't worry about him for now, just speak to him for now, and I'll tell you when we can summon him. There's only certain boss fights we can summon people to. It's different for every boss fight. We can bring people in to help us. It's instead of using another player. So I'm going to bring him in, and there is a couple of others that we will be bringing in along the way for their trophies as well, to inherit their equipment. We'll get his sword, basically. There's a trophy tied to it. So drop down here, there's going to be a Morning Star, which is a weapon, and a Cleric's Sacred Chime, which is for miracles. So there, if you need it. Binoculars, I mean, okay. If you want to look around in the distance, you've got some binoculars. Like I said, I'm not going to be using... I'm going to keep it pretty basic with regards to the build. Not going to be using many miracles, spells, things like that, because it can get a bit complex. It's just easier to hit things in this game, to be honest. So this is our main level upperer lady. I forget her name. She's going to give us the Estus Flask to start with. So speak to her and exhaust her dialogue, and then eventually she will give you the option to level up. So whatever you do, do not kill this lady. She is our only way of leveling up. So I'm going to go to leveling up, and you'll see there at the top left hand side, I've got 410 souls. I need 948 to level up next time. So I can't do it right now. But what we can do is, I say crush. I've always said crush because it kind of just feels like it. Use a soul item. So this white thing here is a acquire souls. So I'm going to use that, and it's going to give us more souls. You can see in the bottom right hand corner there. So of course, if you do die, your souls disappear. I'll explain about dying later on, don't worry. In the next one, we're not going to do any of it here. So once you've done that, we're going to level up. I'm going to go briefly through what each of these do. So vigor, that if you see the grayed out bars there, you can see all those numbers there. The grayed out bars are the things that it will improve. So vigor will improve HP and petrify resistance. Don't worry about that too much, because you get HP from all of the others. So you can see endurance here, HP, stamina, which is your green bar. So running, swinging your weapon, things like that does help. We're not going to do that just yet. Poise, it increases as well. So you can take more hits through your shield, before you get knocked back. So that's and endurance is an important one, not one we're going to do just yet. Vitality, again, HP, and equipment load. So I'll explain about equipment load later on as well, but essentially it's how much you can hold before you start moving slower. So that will come into play later on. We're quite light at the moment. We're going to stay light as well. So we're not going to do that just yet. Attunement is for magic slots. So HP again, and you got some resistance and agility there. And you do need quite a lot of attunement to get a slot so you can carry around a spell, so to speak. We're not going to do that ourselves. Strength is for, obviously, strength is how hard you hit things. It scales with certain weapons. I'll go through weapon scaling when we get to the point where we have a decent enough weapon. Dexterity, think of that as more complex weapons. So dual wielding, quicker weapons. So strength is big, heavy, hits hard weapons. Dexterity is quicker weapons. Adaptability is a weird one and is the one we're going to be using. Agility there, you can see, plus all those resistances, is very, very helpful. Agility, I will go through in a moment when we do the leveling, but it is tied to how quickly you use Estus Flasks and how many iframes you get. So when you roll, you have iframes. I will tell you about those shortly. I'm just going to intelligence here. Intelligence is how much fire defense you have, magic, fire, and dark defense, and it's also how much magic, fire, and dark damage you do. So any weapons or spells that scale off intelligence, that will do more damage. So magic and fire based. We are going to be using a fire weapon, should I say, shortly. So we will put points into probably faith over intelligence, because that helps with a lot of resistances and things. So that's it for now with regards to them. So all you need to really know is adaptability, this one, which we're going to do strength, vitality, endurance, and vigor. That's all you need to know really, because we're not going to do any casting. If you do casting, you will need to look into the other stuff. So iframes, I will just briefly mention. So I'm just going to switch to the Estus Flask here. So I'm removing the gems and putting the flask in, so you can see that that's our healing item now. So you press square if you want to heal. Iframes are, so you press circle to dodge roll. Iframes, you have a certain invincibility frames. So when you dodge, there is a certain point where you're invincible for a moment, and that increases with agility. We're just going to get a trophy here, I'll just mention. So we're going to join this covenant. It's not important, but we speak to him, speak to this guy, exhaust his dialogue. Eventually he'll invite you to the covenant, give you a ring, which is one we need to equip. I don't equip it right away. I'll do it in the beginning of the next video. So the covenant trophy, so you're going to get that. You don't actually need to join it to get the trophy, but you might as well now. And then make sure to learn his gesture, the welcome gesture here. We do need all gestures, so that is one of them. Yeah, so iframes. Yeah, as you dodge, roll, there is a certain, it's very short time, but as you roll, enemies can't damage you. You sort of roll through their attack. You need to increase your agility to lengthen that time frame, which is really annoying. It's not usually tied to any stat, but it is this time, and it also increases the speed that you use Estus Flasks. Estus Flasks take nearly 2.5 seconds to use at base time when you start. It's ridiculously slow. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. When you need to heal and there's enemies around, 2.5 seconds is a hell of a long time. So we're going to try and reduce that time as well. We can reduce it by about a third is probably what we'll do. It makes all the difference, trust me. It really does. It makes the game feel a lot more fluid after we increase that. So we're going to work on that along with other stats, but for now that's the main thing we're going to do. So we just spoke to the blacksmith there. He's locked out of his own place with an open window, so I don't know why he doesn't just climb through that. We'll be getting the key for him later on, so don't worry. That was another covenant. Do not join that covenant. It makes the game harder. Is something we will need to do though. But yes, it makes the game harder, so don't join that covenant yet. We will get the trophy later, but there is a different feature with this Dark Souls as well, is that if you kill an enemy 12 times, it will disappear from an area. And this is where bonfire aesthetics come into play, or that covenant. So if you're struggling with an area, if you just keep killing the same enemy 12 times, so kill him, go back to a bonfire, kill him, etc. Keep doing that. He will eventually disappear for good until you join that covenant. This is a good and bad thing. It means it's easier to get through certain areas, so the run back to bosses. It's also a bad thing, means its farming is more difficult. But don't worry, it's okay. We will use it for farming later on, but it does make areas difficult, so don't join it just yet. I've just run down here. This is another area we'll be going to shortly. Not next, but the third video will be going down there. I've just run down here to get us a free shield for now. It's not a particularly good one, but it's a free one for now. So I've run down, and as long as I will show you later on in more detail with regards to equipment load, but as long as you keep it on 70%, so in your inventory window, it's in the bottom right hand corner, you will see a percentage. That is your equipment load. As long as that's below 70, you're good. If it goes above 70, you'll start really slowly rolling and moving slower. Your endurance takes long, your stamina takes longer to come back. So as long as it's below 70, which it should be around 50 or so. So you'll be fine at this point. But yeah, it's how heavy. Obviously, armor is heavier, so it all increases. If you're carrying more weapons, it goes up. This is a weird NPC here. It's pretty good. Sells some decent rings. Nothing we can afford right now. I'll show you where she is for now. Just some extra stuff. We'll go through later on. Just show you where she is for now. And then we're going to go run out here and get something called an Estus Flask Shard. So hit this stone on this well. It's going to bring this body up. Grab the shard. No, don't do that. Grab the shard. And we're going to take that to the maiden over here. And she's going to upgrade our Estus Flask and give us another usage. But just before we do that, I'm going to sit at this bonfire because there's just to the right hand side of that well where we got that out of, there's 3 little pigs, and they are no joke. For an early game enemy, they are no joke. So quickly sit down here and it'll refresh the area and they'll go back to their spawn point. That always happens. So if you are in trouble, run back to a bonfire, sit at it, and it'll refresh. If the enemies are too close, you won't be able to sit down. So yeah, just be aware of that. So go back to speak to her now. Seeks. Yeah, there's a saying, you'll come familiar with her, definitely. So yeah, give her the Estus Flask Shard, and that's going to increase our Estus Flask usage. We can use it twice now. You can see there 2 in the bottom corner. The maximum is 12, so we'll be finding 11 Estus Flask Shards. There's 12 in the game, I think, but we'll just find 11. So we can upgrade the Estus Flask, so we have 12 usages. There's also something called Bone Marrow Ash, which is increases how much health you get from an Estus Flask usage. So that's another upgrade. This guy here, he is an armourer. So just throughout the game, he's going to start getting different. I don't think his weapons and shields change. That is the shield we'll be getting shortly, but mainly armor. So kill bosses, go through the enemy, the areas, the game. Eventually, he'll get more and more armor. Armor's not a massive deal breaker in this game. It doesn't seem that important. Obviously, some of it's better than others, but it's not a big deal. We will be getting better armor, but it's not something to worry about all the time, which is the best armor. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. As long as you've got decent stuff on, you're fine. That was a Titanie Shard. That is an upgrade material. We will go through that when we are able to upgrade stuff, when we've got that smith into his house. And that's it for this first video. I'm going to sit at this bonfire. If you ever want to quit Dark Souls, make sure you press the touchpad and you go to quit game so it saves it properly. There is no quick save, so make sure you quit game. And yeah, right, we're going to go into our first proper area in the next video. So that's it for this one. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.